First question we had was about how to implement sled dragging for strength. I think there's a ton of different stuff you can do. I'm going to guess they were talking about as accessory work. You know, they said, or as one of your accessory movements, they said, what's the best distance to drag for strength gains? And really, you can do anything. If you're not doing anything right now, anything you do to add in is going to kind of help. I would start about like 30 yards. And the reason is that's going to be similar to a set of like 10 or 12 reps, time-wise. 10, 12 reps is probably going to put you around, there's cops everywhere, probably going to put you around 20 seconds or so, 20 to 30 seconds. So just start there, throw some weight on, maybe, and it depends on your surface too. If you're dragging on turf, it's going to be different. If you're dragging on concrete or asphalt with a metal sled, or if you're dragging on turf with a vinyl sled. Spud makes those indoor sleds. It's made out of the vinyl the straps are made out of. So your friction coefficient is going to make a big difference too, what surface you're dragging on. We used to drag with the vinyl sleds out in a tile hallway. To me, those were a little tougher than a metal sled on concrete or asphalt. So you got to take that into account. You got to kind of play with it a little bit, depending on your surface and the type of sled you got. So, you know, start somewhere around 30. If you're looking to just, you know, add in as an accessory thing. Start around 30 yards or so. And everybody thinks that's like a magic number, but it's more of like a time thing. For a warm-up, just do for a warm-up, anything. For the warm-up, all you're trying to do is make your legs burn a little bit. I've been doing lately at the gym, we have, it's turf. And I use a metal sled. I just throw one plate on to start, and then I go, try to go down and back each direction. I think that might be 30 yards too. I just go down and back forward, down and back backwards, down and back one side, down and back the other side. And that puts me around 4 or 5 total minutes. So it's enough to make my legs burn a little bit, get some muscles working in some different planes than I normally do. I've been lifting for so long, just squatting and stuff, only working in that plane. Just throwing a plate on is going to make me burn a little bit in some different areas that I'm not used to, and it seems to be helping so far. So warm up, just kind of move. Just do 1,000 reverse hypers. Was that you? I typed in somebody's, no, it wasn't you. I typed on someone's program the other day, reverse hypers, It was supposed to say 4 times 15-20, but I put the hyphen after the 20, so it said 4 times 1520 reverse hypers. Thankfully, they were smart enough to figure out that it was a typo. But I hope I didn't do that on yours too. Sorry if I did. Sorry if you did that many. Yeah, so just drag. If you're trying to make it as one of your accessory things, good. I'm trying to think. I did that to my athletes one day. My throwers, it was some ridiculous shit, and they just did it anyways. And then they asked about it afterwards, and I said, no, you weren't supposed to do that. So they were kind of pissed. Yeah, so just drag. You know, if you're going to do like a drag for a max effort movement, throw it in there once in a while for some variation, then I would make it real fucking heavy, like something you can only do for like 10 seconds before you got to take a break. You know, so there's a little bit of time specificity in there when you're picking that stuff. And then just try to increase the weight a little bit every week. Just make it a little bit harder, a little more challenging. Keep it in there for 3 weeks and then pull it out. All right, it'll work. It'll make a difference. If you're, like I said, if it's something you're not doing at all right now, just throw it in there, experiment a little bit, make shit hard, and it'll help. Pull it out after 3 weeks, put it back in after a couple weeks. Got it, man. Yeah, that was just help the kids kind of deal with the week. You know, I feel like, and myself too. You know, at the time I wasn't able to train on the weekends. So, you know, max effort upper on Monday isn't that hard to recover from, I don't feel like. You know, and then you got the rest of your days, and then hit max effort Friday, and then they got the weekend to recover. So that's kind of how that came about. We were doing for a while we would go max, speed, like on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But it just, me and my training partner were doing it too, and it was like Tuesday kind of fucking sucked after, you know, doing max effort the day before too, and having those back to back. So I like to try to separate those if I can. You know, you do 2 max effort days right in a row, I think it's kind of tough to deal with practice and everything else throughout the week, you know, if you're really training hard. So that's kind of how that came about. Had another question. Somebody asked about how long our warm-ups were. Not very long. I mean, honestly, unless a coach wanted to see a team dynamic warm-up, honestly, I didn't do it that much. Not that I shouldn't have or maybe could have, but we would just come in and if it was up to me, just come in and do a couple movements to get warm and loose, and then go. You know, in our max effort stuff, we always warmed up with a bar and worked our way up. So like a warm-up might just be some back and some triceps on an upper body day, or some light dumbbell bench, or modified push-ups from your knees, and some triceps or some shoulder prehab. And then lower day might look like some chain knee raise for a few sets of 20, body weight back extension, and then do our jumps, and then go on to the max effort or speed movement. If we did do the dynamic stuff, I kept it pretty short. You know, I feel like how many times a day do you need to do that shit, really? You're 18 to 20 years old and you gotta spend fucking 15 minutes before lift and then another 15 minutes before practice doing that shit. Just, I'd rather get to it. So that was our warm-up. But like I said, always start with the bar and then we work our way up slow, take about 7 sets or so to get to our max set. And then there's another question about did we do an accumulation phase after a PR attempt or competition? What up, Adam? Try that shirt yet? Did we do an accumulation phase after a PR attempt or after competition? I think what they were talking about was you take a little time to recover, kind of let the body adapt. After that, not usually. You know, usually that's what I like about the max effort method. If you're kind of feeling shitty or smoked, you know, you can kind of back it down a little bit. It's max effort for that day. That's why you change the movement every week. You know, so if I'm kind of beat up or whatever, I don't push as hard on that movement. And then if we were gonna give them a break a little bit, then we can back down accessory some to let them kind of adjust. I'm not sure if that's what they were talking about or if they were talking about like after like a post-season, like getting back into the weight room.
In 10 miles, take exit 190 on the left onto I-271 south toward Columbus.
You know, sometimes we would do, depending on the team and the athletes and kind of how they felt, sometimes we would do just a couple weeks of speed work and then accessories. We wouldn't do any, you know, max effort work. Just replace the max effort with speed work. Sometimes we would do just heavy days where it might be instead of a 1 rep max, just work up to something kind of heavy for 2 or 3 or, you know, maybe an 8 or a 9 out of 10 where it's hard, but you know, you don't have to strain too terribly hard and definitely not miss. You know, so I guess you can consider that kind of accumulation phase if that's what they were asking. You know, that we did do postseason usually, depending on the team. But we didn't do anything where it was the same movement and we would like creep up the percentages or anything, because for max effort work, I never worked off of a percentage. It was either true max effort or kind of an RPE system where we'd let them self-govern, you know, obviously with our supervision, but you know, we weren't doing the same movement week after week and, you know, creeping the percentages up. So I wasn't real sure what they were asking. I hope that answers it. I did email them back and see, or DM them back, see exactly what they were talking about, but I'm guessing it was one of those two kind of things. That's what I really like about the system is it's very adaptable for where you're at. I think maybe people get caught up too much in how other people run it, maybe, you know, and because it says max effort, they assume you have to fucking go till you miss a weight, or, you know, it's a max out every week, no matter what. That's not the case. It's, you know, now in the off season, you're probably going to go like hell and fucking you're going to max out every week until the kids come in and they're looking like somebody shot their dog, or they aren't talking very much, or they're real quiet and just look kind of miserable. What's up? Headed down to C-Bus. So yeah, so like off season, we're gonna go like hell. And push, like max effort day is gonna be fucking max effort. But then once you get closer to season or you got an important meet coming up, you're still working in that lane, but it's not true max effort work. You know, we'll let them go up to a 9 or an 8 out of 10, or you know, just kind of figure out what works for your kids. Now here's the thing: if you're mainly in your off season, you're doing say 1 and 2 rep maxes on your max effort work, and then you're in season. Let's say you're a couple weeks in season, and you think you're gonna give the kids a break and give them a 5 rep max. You're not giving them a break, because they're not used to the time under tension or the 5 rep max, and they're going to be fucking sore and wore out. So if you're going to do reps in your max effort lane, which you can do, right, it's not true max effort, but we're kind of plugging things in there to adapt where you're at. If you're going to do reps, you need to give them a percentage. You can't just go, like, don't go from, if they're used to, what I'm saying is, if they're used to doing 1 and 2 rep maxes, and then you go a 5 rep max because you think it's going to get less weight on their back, and you're going to get them fucking sore and they're going to feel like shit. So keep that in mind. Get your volume work in with your accessory lanes. I saw some pictures. That's cool. I think I saw a picture you guys were standing with Hoff or something. Pretty neat. So take those into consideration. You know, you gotta, that's why it's important for coaches to train, so you kind of understand that stuff. You know if I've been doing 1s or 2s for weeks on end, and then I go to a 5, it's gonna be pretty fucking miserable. And then I gotta throw practice and stuff in on top of that. It's not a good idea, unless you limit their weight. You know, you can go up to a hard set of 5, and then you monitor them. Don't go to a 5 rep max where they got to grind out that 5th rep or whatever. It's not a good idea. So yeah, I think people kind of get caught up in the terminology maybe a little bit too much, and they think, oh, you're doing conjugate or west side, and you gotta fucking, just because it says max effort lane, or you know, max effort, yes, that's what the original program calls for, and you know, it is max effort. But when you're in season, mess around with it a little bit.
Toward Columbus.
Okay, I talked about tactical athletes trading bass ackwards. I'm talking about like military, police academy.
Keep left.
Stuff. There is.
In 14 miles, keep right toward I-480 East and Columbus.
There's too much emphasis on low intensity aerobic work and not enough focus on short burst, high intensity work. I feel like it's completely backwards, because a lot of the work you guys do, even firemen, is it's not low intensity, extensive work. Like, you gotta bust your ass for a few seconds and then you get a break. You know, how often do cops go on a 10-minute or 3-mile foot chase? I'm not a cop, but I've talked to a few policemen friends of mine, and that's never happened to them. So, yeah, spend some more time on getting strong. You know, maybe if some policemen were stronger, they'd have a little more. And like, I don't deal with that shit, so I hate to talk shit, but if you're a little more physically strong, you wouldn't be so quick to pull your gun out and shoot somebody. You had a little more confidence in your physical abilities, you know. But yeah, so I think they need to spend more time on strength, and even our armed forces spend more time on strength. You know, the conditioning in comparison to getting strong is easy to get. It takes a couple months to get in shape. It takes a long time to get strong. So that's what I was talking about. It's kind of you know, but you get the same thing with a lot of, you know, sports training. Sending baseball players on 3-mile runs or whatever, or softball players on 3-mile runs, or, you know, for what? Not that you don't have to have some sort of base work capacity to be in a little bit of shape, but let's sit down and analyze what's going on. How do you monitor your progress on accessories in a team setting? There's lots of different ways you can do it. We never really, I never like to monitor that shit. I rather teach my kids how to train, which is a bit of a learning curve. You know, takes some effort. But we never really track much. But you can do it a lot of different ways. You know, you can track the max effort stuff and the dynamic effort stuff on your own. Track that for them, and then do cards for the accessory work if you want. I mean, just like you would any other thing. You can do all their accessory work for time. You know, you can do circuits where they just go to fail, or circuits for time. Have partners, you know, rotate on the clock. I don't think that's always optimal, but it's an option you can put in there for a block of time. I think a lot of strength coaches kind of get too anal about that stuff. You know, it's accessory work. Just do some work. If they're putting some sort of effort in, they're going to get better, you know. Now, I understand there's the opposite of that, where you get the athlete that'll use a 20-pound dumbbell on fucking dumbbell rows all year if you let them. So I understand there's that side of it too, but you can, you know, teach your athletes how to train relatively hard. A lot of that stuff will take care of itself. You can get a good environment and kind of teach your kids how to train. A lot of that stuff will fall into place, and they'll get better. You know, if your dumbbell shrugs go up 5 pounds over the course of 3 weeks, does that really make a big fucking difference in your overall athletic performance? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe the more important part is just getting into doing the work. So that's kind of how we did it. I think a lot of people get hung up on being too fucking organized. which I understand. Like, I understand you got to track, and you know, there's certain situations where you have to do that. But if you can teach a group how to train, all that shit will take care of itself, and then you can just, for the most part, coach technique, which is, you know, obviously the optimal situation.
In 2 miles, keep right toward I-480 East and Columbus.
You know, with my teams that, some things I did with my teams that were less motivated to train, or you had to babysit a little more, we would do, we would make stations on each rack. So we might have groups of 4, sometimes 5. So we would do, everybody break up, right? We do our max effort work or dynamic work, and then all the accessory stuff would just be like a circuit, and we'd go for time on each movement, you know, and they were all on their station, and just rotate on the coach's command. You know, that's a, don't give them a chance to get distracted if you're worried about that. You know, everybody, you know, there's all sorts of variations you can do with circuits and shit like that. If you know, a group of kids up by strength level, kind of pick the weights for them, you know what I mean? You just do each movement.
Use the right lane to keep right toward I-480 East and Columbus.
You know, that's not a, you know, sets of 30 seconds, I understand, aren't always optimal for maximal strength development. But look at it this way. If you got a group of
keep
kids
right
or athletes that's
for 129 miles, continue straight.
They're not going to go in and push for sets of 8 to 10 like they should anyways. So by you putting them on the clock, 30 seconds, time under tension is going to suck basically. It's going to suck basically no matter what weight you got. So that way they're going to get the work in and probably get better work in than if you know, we're letting them do sets of 10 or whatever. Or, you know, if you got a shitload of interns, just have stations. Have the interns supervise each station, adjust weights, do it that way. That's a great way to do it. Put those guys to work. You know, we usually had 1 or 2 guys per group, coaches per group, so those are some things you can do. Just go for time. And the thing is, let's say you're with Division I athletes, the genetic ceiling for those athletes is so high. The type of stimulation you give them on accessory work isn't terribly important. Like I said before, it's just doing the work and moving some weight. You know, make sure they do it correctly, but just do work. That's the important part. Don't get too caught up on your accessory work and all the sets and reps. And, you know, unless you got a group that can do it. And then if you got a group that can do it, you know, let them have it. But yeah, that's how we did it. For the most part, we had pretty good groups where we could trust that they'd do a good job. And, you know, for the most part, we just coach up technique. How do I motivate myself? What do I do to motivate myself to train, to work out? I don't know. For me, it's just something I have to do, I guess. I've always liked it, you know, but that's not to say sometimes you don't feel like fucking training. I've always liked training. I've always liked working out. If I don't do it, I start feeling really shitty, physically and mentally. I feel like if I stop moving, the rust starts setting in, and I feel worse. If I take a week off of training, I usually feel worse at the end of the week. Stuff starts getting stiff, and but nah, it's just something I like to do. I've always done it. Just part of my daily routine. If I don't feel like doing it, just scale it back a little bit. Get done what you need to do, get out, get some extra rest. For me, if I go a couple weeks in a row where it's like I don't feel like being there, it starts to get to be a pain in the ass. I'm really dreading it every time I go in. And sometimes I'll just take a few days off. Just try to get some extra sleep, get some extra food in, and then usually being away for a few days kind of motivates me and gets me feeling like I want to get back in there again. Usually if I take the first 2 days of the week off, so like if I'm training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if I just stay away from the gym Monday, Wednesday, that usually gives me enough time to kind of feel like I want to get back in there again and start missing it. It helps me kind of heal up, a little bit, helps me rest up. So that's usually my go-to, but everybody's different. Some people like to take out max effort work for a week, or take out dynamic work for a week, or take out accessories for a week. Cut your volume in half on everything, stuff like that. But yeah, I've been finding motivation to go train usually isn't a problem. When it does become a problem is when I don't have the rest of my shit figured out, and I'm going to the gym, and I got other shit on my mind that I have to get done. That fucks with me, and that'll kind of screw up my workouts. Like if I'm at the gym and I got
stay in the left 2 lanes.
5 other things on my mind that I know I need to do, that's when it's not good. But that's when those couple days out of the gym will help, because I can get caught up on the other shit, get things back where they need to be, so I can go in and focus on what I'm supposed to be doing.